Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Writer's Mind podcast. This is definitely something new for me. I tried on my laptop, the volume wasn't right, so hoping it's better on the phone. See what we can do about the microphones later on. Until then, yes, one of the things that writers always get asked, at least I do, is where do we get our ideas? What do we come up with them? What do they mean? I know for me, a lot of it is just I can just get an idea of watching a bird fly overhead. I'll have just give me inspiration. Why not try this? Why not try that? Other stories. I'll sit there like, oh, that's cool, but it'd be better if they did this. Things like that. You always have different ideas. You always want to try to maybe tweak something. We have our own ideas on pretty much everything. You know, um, we make it interesting. The writer's mind is a very curious place. We are literally like a computer tab with 10,000 open windows, just waiting for to see if to load. Half the time to load, they won't load, the half load. Sometimes we just need to smack upside the head to kind of reboot it. I know for myself, a lot of it is just things I've seen, sayings. My dad was great with sayings, um, and that's part of my history too. We always show in history. Like for me, for those that may not know from when I talked about some other interviews, um, I learned to read through comic books. I think it's first grade. We're gonna learn to read as like, oh god, we can something else to do. Typical stupid kid thing. And I just could not get into it. It's in there. It's like the red dog walked up the hill, or you know the ball rolled here. That stuff. It just could not get my attention. I didn't care. I did not care. There was no story. I'm in first grade and I have no idea what I'm talking about because there's no story, there's nothing to captivate me. So the teacher is frustrated, contacted my parents, and my dad got thinking outside the box. He was very wise. So he had a fifth grade education because when he was younger, he was moved around a lot. He went through foster care, and so he never got an education it's like he wasn't book smart, but he's very wise and you know he was a woodsman. You could put him in the middle of the woods. He lived there perfectly happy and comfortable. But he had the idea that, to capture my imagination. So he went to, the Hamburg newsstand where they had some comics, and he got comics. Got Uncle Scrooge, Donald Duck, Spider-Man, Submariner. What was one? Like even Tales from the Crypt. Pretty much anything, because I was allowed to watch just about anything. So it's like he'd stay up with me watching. They go B-rated sci-fi movies, horror movies, stuff like that. So we got all these comics, and he would sit there and read through them with me. He'd read them to me. He'd read with me. He'd help with any word I couldn't pronounce. He would explain the meanings to me, and then like again reading them. Probably within a couple weeks, give or take. I was one of the better readers in my class. It just, I just picked it up. I'm sorry about my hair. It's at that length where it doesn't want to lay down at all. But yeah, I was at that point where I picked it up. And I enjoyed it. I mean, it was awesome. And to further help me with that, he got he they got my parents got a tape recorder, and he would read Treasure Island, Robinson Crusoe, Mark Twain into it. He'd record himself reading it so I could listen back, and it was cool. It was neat. It's like he had a great voice, so that helped. But it get me interested. I would hear this. I'm like, well, I want to read this too. Then I would start reading it, and that started my love of the classics. And to this day, my favorite books are the classics like Treasure Island, Robinson Crusoe, anything Mark Twain. I just love those old classics, and it's things like that that stick with us. Little tidbits, like little sayings, little things we've witnessed. Like, okay, well, someone say, Joe A did this, Susan, B responded with this. Okay, well, how can I change that? Or how can I use something similar? You get those little ideas like that, and we can throw an entire relationship just starting in that one. I mean, I'm a pantser. You have pantsers and you have, the organizational ones, the ones that like the outline. I can't do an outline to save my life. Um, and for me, it's like I take a person or a couple people, I put them in a situation, see what happens. For myself, I mean, everyone has a different process. Everyone has a different mentality with it. For me, I know how it's going to begin. I know how it's going to end, and I know I'm pretty much sure what the end of Clowns will be. It's just everything in between. I let the characters tell their stories, and I'm not ashamed to say, I've admitted this many times. My muse is smarter than me. They make me look, very, very smart. Like I know what I'm doing at the time. A lot of us, it's just kind of like we think we know what we're doing. We're going through it, and we have that self doubt. This sounds horrible. This is trash. And then somebody else is like, "Oh, this is great," or "I like this part." It's like, you do really? Okay. I mean that's the thing. I mean, all creatives. We all have that little switch. Like, is this right? Is this not right? So it's entertaining. It's a different experience, and it's one I'm looking forward to sharing with everybody. And like I said, it's go through different topics, different techniques, like I've discovered, I've used, I've argued for, I've argued against, different ideas. Like journaling. Always having a notebook to write down your ideas. You never know when you need an idea. You never will, whether it's on napkins, whether it's on business cards, whatever. Just write it down. You're in a restaurant, have an idea, you write it on a napkin. That type of thing. Because we tend not to be those organized people. So at least I don't know. I'm organized chaos. So it's like it's gonna be a fun ride. I just want to give you guys a glimpse into what the writer's mind is like. Again, if any questions, any topics you uncovered, let me know in the comments below. All right. Thank you guys. Have a great one. Bye.